Hey there, Steve Gamache for Chef Knives to Go with another quick look product review. And what we have this time is the Yoshimi Hino Shitogami or white number 2 Gyuto 240mm knife. So this knife has three-layer construction. It has soft stainless cladding, which is a really cool kind of waffle imprint, randomized waffle pattern on it on each side. And then the center core cutting edge steel is what's known as Shitogami or white paper number 2 reactive high carbon steel. So the core steel is reactive and will patina over time. The cladding is stainless, and it looks like the cladding does cover the spine, so you don't have that core steel peeking through. So a little bit easier maintenance on that. There's less to worry about from a reactivity standpoint. So the construction is 3 layers. The weight and dimensions can vary on these a little bit from knife to knife, but this particular one is 181 grams, or 6.4 ounces. The edge length is 243, so it's a pretty good sized knife. About 9.6 inches on that edge from the tip to the back of the heel. And the overall length is 15.5 inches. The millimeters would be about 390 millimeters or so. Spine thickness, this is a fairly thin knife overall for this style. It has a pretty good stiffness to it, especially in the back half. It's quite stiff for its width or thickness. Above the back of the heel, I got about 2.8 millimeters thickness on the spine, and then it starts tapering down, and about halfway down the blade, I got 2.3 millimeters. And if you look, it pretty much retains that, maybe slightly less than that, until you get to the pretty generous grind here. So here's the blade flats with that really cool pattern on there, and then here's where the knife starts getting ground down and thinned out towards the edge, and that's a pretty generous length of grind down there. So that means that that tip's going to be nice and thin. It's not wafer thin, but it's plenty thin for really good performance. And then here is the edge on the back of the blade, the choil shot, and you can see some nice polish right there, by the way, but very thin at the edge as well. So very good performance on this knife. Let's see, height is pretty decent. It's I shouldn't say pretty decent, it's generous. This is about 51.5 millimeters at the heel. They don't have a lot of extension of the choil into the tang, so there's not a lot of spot for your fingers there. This could be maybe mounted a little bit back and have some more spot, but you've got a kind of a gentle curve there you can get your finger in. Balance point wise, this is going to be a little bit further forward because it's a bigger blade. So here's the balance point, right about there, and then my pinch grip's a little behind that. So what you do is get a little bit of a blade forward balance on that pinch grip, which gives you a little bit of feel for power on that blade. This is a nice nice confidence inspiring knife on the cutting board. Let's get our usual beauty shot here. A little bit of polish on it, as you can see. And let's see, handle. This is what they call D-shaped handle. It is oriented towards a right-hand person where this ridge kind of fits right in here. See if I can maybe not cut myself. But I'm a lefty, and personally that doesn't bother me one bit. So again, I've handled hundreds and hundreds, over 1,000, maybe 1,500 knives. And for me, as a lefty, this doesn't bother me one bit. I'm a pinch gripper, so I don't really get that anywhere. Some people actually like to put their thumb here and use it as a rest if they're a lefty, just depending on what you like to do. So if you are a lefty, I wouldn't let that concern you too much. Again, I've never found it to be much of an issue. Some people do, some people don't. Doesn't bother me personally. The kanji on here is laser engraved. That's becoming more common, but it's a nice job. It's easy to see on there. It does stand out pretty well from the pattern on there. I've got a very interesting kind of waffle randomized squares pattern on here. It looks very nice. I've had a style of this knife before with actually deeper indents than this, and I had no problems at all with food cleaning, so nothing really got stuck on it. Some people might worry that food gets lodged in there, but I had no issues with that at all. And you can see the grind here. Here's your core steel peeking out from the edge. Almost nothing sharpens up more easily than Shitogami. And Shitogami number 2 is a good balance of edge retention and ease of sharpening. So this will sharpen up fantastic and will keep a super sharp edge. It'll get as sharp as you can possibly do with your skill level. And edge retention's not fabulous compared to some of the other ones, but it's so doggone easy to sharpen. You can touch it up, lickety-split, and be on your way again, merrily chopping up loads of product. Let's see. So this is the left side of the blade, and there's no Conjure Stamping or embossing or anything on that side of the blade. We did balance point. Out of the box edge, I'll give that a 6, maybe 7 out of 10. This had a very sharp out of the box edge. They've done a really nice job on fit and finish. There's some rounding and polishing on the spine, so no sharp edges. They've done a super job of polishing and rounding that choil, the back of the blade into the neck. And very clean grinds, straight blade, just well crafted. These are kind of interesting knives because they've got a little bit of backbone to them because of the instruction, but the edges and the tip are thin, so the performance is really good. But it's not super wafer thin, so it's got some stiffness to it. It's just a nice combination to use. So here is the cutting board profile. You've got not a ton of perfect flat area towards the back, but it kind of flows into a stop towards the back. And you've got a pretty low flat area back here. It's not super flat, but good enough to do some chopping with. And then kind of a gentle belly. And I can get, I'm getting pretty high on that before I do the tipping. I'm getting up there. So yeah, you can rock really nice with this. It'll rock well. It'll chop a little bit towards the back, push-pull cuts, glide cuts, maybe a little tip draw, although you got to bring the tip of the handle up a little higher for that. But pretty good, just general purpose cutting edge profile. Not every knife is identical to this, but this will give you a general sense for what the maker typically does with their edge profile. So this is just a really nice line of knives. It looks really cool. Has some interesting features. It's got super easy to sharpen Shirogami steel at the core and easy to maintain stainless on the rest of the blade. High performance, nice looks. It's just a really good package. So this is the Yoshimi Hino Shirogami #2 Gyuto 240mm knife.